How's it going, everyone? Today's tutorial is all about how to polish the raw edge of your leather. Okay, so for today's tutorial, what we're going to need is 4 things. The first thing is the Gum Tragacanth that we're going to use for actually polishing the edge. And then we're going to need some kind of tool for actually polishing. Now this is called an edge slicker, and this is what actually gives that lovely rounded edge that you see on the raw edge of leather. And then we're going to need an awl, some kind of tool for actually just finishing off the last little bit of the polishing. And we're going to need a rag for just taking off the excess polish that sometimes ends up on the surface of the leather. Okay, let's get going. So the question is, what is Gum Tragacanth used for? It's mainly used on the raw edges of the leather to finish it off and give it a nice professional finish. What you'll find is the underneath of the leather is quite fluffy naturally. So with the Gum Tragacanth and using different polishing tools, you'll actually compress all those fibres down and make it look really sleek and professional on the edge. It's a great thing to do as a preliminary stage to edge dyeing and edge coating, but I can show you that in a different video. And here is how. So you can use Gum Tragacanth on all different types of leathers. It works really beautifully on vegtan leather. So I'm going to be showing you an example of how to polish the edge of leather straps, or if you're making like a saddle bag or something like that, it looks absolutely stunning on the edge. You've also got different types of leathers like chrome dyed leathers that I tend to use it on just really to give it that extra bit of professional sort of finish right on the edge. So we're going to be working on handles and also on the Arthur leather clutch, the internal bit where the zip sits. And here are the next stages how. So the first example that I'm going to show you is the Arthur leather clutch. We're going to be applying the gum with your finger. We don't need to use an edge slicker when it's just a single layer of chrome dyed. So pop your finger in. You'll notice that it is just naturally that bit fluffier just on the edge. So what I tend to do is try and get your finger to actually sort of compress the fibres from underneath, and then rotate your finger around so you end up actually going onto the raw edge, and just rub back and forth. So you can't damage it. The more you polish, the better it will look. So I just tend to work in sort of 10 centimetre lengths at a time. Work it until you can really see all those fluffy bits compressing down and it just doesn't look fluffy at all on the edge anymore. And then just go to your next bit. Again, almost like overlapping where you've been. So that means it hopefully means you won't have actually missed out any bits. As I was saying before, if you do get any bits on the surface, just rub it off. It really doesn't damage it. And just keep on working all the way around. So I tend to go underneath first and then rotate around. And once you get right up into the corner bits as well, you're going to be sort of using your finger so that you're trying to create a lovely right angled end. Again, making it look as smooth as possible. And the beauty of this stuff is that if for any reason you haven't cut absolutely perfectly, then this should hide any little imperfections as well. So you're going to work all the way around this inner edge until it's completed. And then just let it dry off for about 10 minutes. And you should notice it goes really nice and solid on that edge. And it just gives that inner edge an absolutely beautiful finish. So our second example is a chrome dyed handle. So we've got a double layer of chrome leather, which is glued together, and then we cut it down afterwards. So this is used in the Charlie tote and also the Neville backpack straps. Looks really lovely because you've got both leather on both sides, so it looks really smart, but it does mean you've got the raw edge. So we're going to be finishing that off with the Gum Tragacanth. So same vibe, we're going to dip your finger in, rub the excess along the edge, and then rubbing back and forth. We're going to be using the edge slicker this time. So what you want to do is apply quite a bit of pressure, because you've got that beautiful rounded edge in there. That is what actually makes the raw edge of the leather end up with that beautiful sort of professional rounded look to it. So rubbing back and forth, we're putting quite a bit of pressure. Try not to distort the leather, so you don't want to end up squashing it all up, but you do want to make sure that the edge slicker is really getting right up into the real sort of center point of the edge. So keep on rubbing back and forth, overlapping as you go, to make sure that you definitely capture all of those beautiful fibres. And again, if you do have an excess bit that you need to rub off the surface, just get your rag and just rub it off now. It really doesn't affect it at all. And if you want to, sometimes it's quite good just to add in that little bit of extra polishing with the rag. Now, what you might find with the chrome dyed leather is that it does really polish and bond all the fibres, but it doesn't go quite as shiny as the vegtan. We will show you that in the next example. But it does give you that lovely roundedness, plus it just doesn't look as fluffy on the edge at all. And then when you leave this to dry after about 10 minutes, it's going to go nice and solid and give you a really great finish for the edge of your straps. So for this third example, what we're going to be doing is polishing the edge of the vegtan leather. Now this is probably like a 1.8 thick vegtan, and it works absolutely beautifully with using the edge slicker. So what we're going to do is apply the trag gum again with your finger, rubbing it along the edge. Grab your edge slicker, and we're going to be pushing the edge slicker right up into the raw edge of the leather, and this will naturally start to round it off and compact all those fibres down. So I'm rubbing back and forth, and then what you want to do is also get the awl. So the awl is the thing that's going to just finish off that sort of flattened edge, because what you find when you first cut leather is it is actually quite right angled. So we're looking to actually move it all around so it ends up with a lovely polished curve. So sometimes you find with this edge slicker it doesn't quite get into that exact middle point, and that's what I quite like using the awl for. So rubbing back and forth, you just find that the metal makes it look so lovely and shiny, alongside obviously the edge slicker doing that as well. So keep on overlapping yourself as you go, trying not to distort the leather at all. So you know you still want to keep this a lovely crisp straight line. So rubbing back and forth again with the awl, it just finishes it off so beautifully. And I tend to use the rag just to rub off those excess bits. Rub back and forth if you want to finish it off at all with the rag. And the more you work at this, the more beautiful it's going to look.